Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the most amazing authors of a new book we have coming out. Okay, get ready for this title, y'all. The Misadventures Guide to Ultimate Empowerment for Women. Harness your power and thrive in every area of your life. Yes, Stephanie Bailey, our lead author. Thank you so much. Before I introduce these women to you today, I want to just say a big thank you to Stephanie for the mission and for getting this group of authors together. You all took it another level, seriously. I'm going to open up with a big thank you to all of you for stepping up in the vulnerable ways in which you did for the stories in this book. And then, of course, the reader is going to be gifted with your master teachings and tools and strategies and practices. So these books are a really true gift. But the topic of empowerment gives me goosebumps every time I introduce this book and talk about this topic. So let me tell you who I have here with me today. Anna Pereira is the CEO of the Wellness Universe, where people come to be happy, healthy, and healed. I have Lori Frisher with me today. She is a leader, a disability advocate, an entrepreneur, athlete, two-time cancer survivor, and public speaker who dares to dream beyond her present circumstances to discover what is possible. She was born with a severe hearing loss and relies on 2 cochlear implants and lip reading to communicate. I've got Tiffany McBride with me. She's a clinical psychotherapist and shaman healer at Holistic Vibrations LLC, where they utilize altered states of consciousness and holistic modalities. Oh, I hope you all are ready for this conversation. It's going to be a good one. Anna, you're going to start the party off. Tell us about the amazing chapter that you wrote.
Oh my gosh, Laura, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much. And it's great to be on with you ladies. And I want to also shout out to Stephanie and say thank you so much for having the vision for this book. I love it. I think it's absolutely something that needs to be on every woman's bookshelf, especially if you're a go-getter. You need to get this book. So anyway, this is just a little prelude to what you're actually going to see when it gets released. So my chapter is chapter number 4, Powerhouse, Building a Purpose-Driven Legacy. And a little bit about my chapter is you will definitely relate to it if you are a woman who has a mission and a dream and a goal, and you're doing it alone. And it's huge what you're trying to accomplish. So that's a bit about the story. And then basically what it is that you really need to do and how you really need to be the who behind that, so you can find the success and be the powerhouse that you want to be in life.
Okay, you got to tell me more about the who. What do you mean by that? What are the main points of the who?
Well, you know, I kind of describe it a little bit on the in the practice part. So do you want me to actually just read a little bit about it?
That would be great.
Okay, so all right, you can learn systems, strategy, and other things along the way, but who you are and how you show up for yourself and others is where your core strength and trust lies.
I love it. I want more. No, don't tell them. We're just teasing them today, you guys. We're teasing them.
It has to be only tease right now, Laura.
I know. Okay, so one of the really fun things that I've learned about you in reading all of your beautiful writing is your creativity. You've got this amazing creative side that you haven't showed everyone like over the time that I've known you. So I know you brought some show and tell today. Tell us about the t-shirts.
I will. So a big part of my story actually is steeped in the creative side, and my entrepreneurial journey started off with having a clothing line and having a t-shirt line, and then going on to be the head of a $15 million division for a pet products company due to me having that entrepreneurial experience of that clothing line. And one of the things I spoke about was having an interview with Alicia Vitarelli on News 12 New Jersey back in the day, and I was wearing this one shirt, which was one of my signature designs. And so this is similar to the one that I wore. And one of my most popular designs, Pardon the Wrinkles, I just pulled it out of, like, you know, the archives. So
It's
blessed.
beautiful.
Thank you. Blessed was one of my most favorite designs. And it's funny that you say that, because where I am now with the Wellness Universe, people have no idea about that half of me. And people who knew me then, and then they find out what I'm doing now, they're like, oh my God. But it's all part of being a powerhouse. So thanks for asking me for the show and tell.
Yay. Yes, that's so much fun. All right, you guys, stay tuned. You're going to hear more from Anna in just a minute or two. Lori, you are up next. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Well, good morning, ladies. It's great to be amongst amazing women that are making a difference every single day. So I thank you and Stephanie for having me here today. But my chapter, an exciting time in my life, it's actually a new chapter. So I wanted to share my vulnerability side in my chapter and tell it like it is. I talk about how vulnerability can be powerful, and I'm proud to show women my life story through my vulnerability. And, you know, I talk about how I show up every day to live my best life and live my best being. You know, I think that all of us know we need to be our best self, but we need to make sure that we understand that it's okay to have a challenge, and how can we become better through that challenge. And I embrace my challenges to allow myself to grow. And I think all of us, you know, are, you know, nervous to grow and, you know, share that deep side of us. But when we do, we're really impacting so many people. And I believe that through, you know, tenacity in spite of adversity with diversity, I share that in my chapter. And, you know, it's been a great growing experience just even writing this chapter. So I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Oh, I'm happy to have you in it. You know, so you're having me think about this, and authenticity gets talked about a lot. I don't know, I feel like I'm hearing it everywhere, but you're making me realize that part of showing up in the world as an authentic human being is that you are vulnerable. And that may mean slightly different things to different people, but for you, what did that mean exactly?
For me, I think I've always worn my heart on my sleeve. So I think, you know, some people could say, oh my God, you share so much. But, you know, what I do share is my honesty of being human in the regards to, you know, professional life, my personal life. Yes, it's very hard, you know, to wake up in the morning. And I believe it's okay to share that with people. I know that through being my authentic self, it has had an opportunity for me to gain really quality relationships in my life. I think when you're authentic, people kind of take that deep breath and they say, I feel like I could be myself around this individual. And I'm a lover of people. And I think that comes through being authentic.
Yes, authenticity, when it comes from another human being, feels safe, doesn't it? Because you can be yourself with that person. Yeah, I love that. I just wrote that. If you guys see me scribbling, that's what I'm doing down here. It's like I'm writing down your words. Lori, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Tiffany, you are up next. Tell us about your chapter.
Well, I just want to say thank you to Laura and Stephanie, because this has been my second book, but I really opened up in this chapter. And so my chapter is chapter 2, and it's called Unrequited, a Radical Self-Love Story. And it's a conversation that I'm having with one of my friends about how frustrating it is to date as an older woman who's been single for a long, long time. And I talk a lot about my relationship patterns throughout my life and how they've been affected by the abuse and the neglect that I had as a child, and how that has, you know, become part of the way things have been in my relationships too. And so I talk about that, and that's very vulnerable for me to be open about that, because it's a part of my life that I have been really ashamed of. But I have gotten to this place where I have really, really started to love myself and understand my issues with self-abandonment. I kind of open up a definition of self-abandonment in that book about how we kind of let go of our own needs and wants and desires for other people, and that's self-abandonment. And so I talk about how to, get out of that pattern and how to be more of a empowered, self-loving woman, and not to be ashamed of unconditionally loving yourself.
Yes. I remember reading through your chapter and specifically just pausing on the words self-abandonment. And you made me think about like what that means and when and if, and mostly when I do it. And I wonder if like you can help our listeners today with the awareness. Look, when is it most important to show up for yourself? How am I doing that? Give me just one little example, just a teaser.
Well, I guess I'm going to go with the relationships where I would date and I didn't really feel a connection with that person, but I was feeling really pressured to go along with this person or date this person or be sexual with this person. And I didn't want to. And I felt that like pressure. I feel it in my stomach. It's this like just this uncomfortable feeling in my stomach of, yeah, I don't want to do this. But there's this other part of me that says, well, you want the attention, or you need the touch, or you need, maybe this is not what you think it is. So like you start to question yourself and doubt what you really feel and just go along with whatever that other person is doing. So that's kind of just one example, of course.
That is an example that turns me on, because you don't know how perfect this is for this next question I'm going to ask all of you. This whole process of feeling empowered starts with the awareness, and you just dropped a nugget, because you're helping us into our body, which is where that language happens, right? And if we can feel what we feel in there, then we have half a clue a lot of the time. So actually, Lori, I'm going to start with you for this next one. What does it even mean to you to feel empowered or be empowered?
For me, I think it's really about breathing and knowing that I'm in a good space when I'm empowered and I feel inspired. I can look out and actually embrace gratitude in a way that, I wouldn't embrace it if I didn't have that sense of empowerment. And I know there's a sense of calm that I feel when I'm in that place. And I call that my safe place. And that it's for me, surrounding myself with really good energy and good words and, people that, actually take the time to listen to me, but I actually listen to them, despite my challenges with hearing. So that's what it means to me.
I love it. You're bringing it back into the body when you talk about breathing, and then the calm, the good energy, the safe place. I believe all of these have feelings, right? And getting in touch. So back to you now, Tiffany. How do you feel in your body when that empowerment is going on?
Oh man, definitely that feeling of safety. It's all about feeling really comfortable in your body and trusting yourself, like not from like your mental capacity, but like your body, trusting that you are safe in your body. And so I have to feel that way first to feel really empowered. I have to feel really confident and comfortable to be my authentic self. And sometimes I'm with people that let me do that, and sometimes I'm with people that don't. But I feel I've worked really hard to find a place in myself where I can separate what people think of me to what I think of myself, and that's what matters, and that's what keeps me safe and feels good in my body.
Yeah, you just dropped another nugget there in terms of discerning between those two. It's huge, right? Yeah, I love it. And I love that you're, Lori and you, Tiffany, are so far, you're talking about safety. I think that's interesting. I think safety has a feeling inside of me as warm and open. Literal posture is expanded, right? There's something that happens inside of you physically when you're feeling safe. Anna, what do you want to add to this? What's it mean to you to feel or be empowered?
Well, I was thinking about this since you first mentioned it, and I'm glad you gave me all of this time and left me to the last, because it's still the same. And I'm glad that this didn't come up yet. And it goes back to the who. Just as if somebody calls the name Anna, I know they're speaking to me and I know who Anna is. It's me. I stand up and I'm always Anna when Anna is being spoken. There's no who am I supposed to show up as? There's no how is an Anna supposed to be in the world? It's I really know who I am. And to anchor into that in different scenarios, I feel is being empowered. I can recall a very specific instance when we were in a whole new caliber of and circle of people, and they came from a different walk of life, a different academic status, a different pay grade status, and I felt very inadequate. And I walked away from that saying to myself, how do I feel empowered in a situation like this, in a scenario like this, and still always show up like myself? So with that inquiry, I came up with some accounts and some resolutions to be confronted in this situation again. And again, it actually goes along with a lot of what it is in the who of what you show up in the practice that I actually shared in this book. But I think that that self-empowerment, it's about the who am I, and really anchoring into that. And I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but it's the only way I can describe it aside from the feelings of what it feels like to feel empowered, because I think we just all sum that up. That's what I can add.
Yeah, and it's an individual journey. Of course, this is all a very intense self-development journey for most of us, especially those of us who wrote in the book about it, right? You all know what a journey this is. And I really appreciate all of your ways of talking about it. It's one of the reasons why the collaborations are so important, in my opinion, is because we need all the voices. And you all offer that very unique way of talking about the one subject. But in all of the voices, we give hope to so many different people who need to hear it in exactly the way you are telling your story. So thank you to all of you for doing that so brilliantly. For me, one of the biggest parts of feeling empowered was finding and using my voice. And that, I don't know, I mean, I feel like probably for most women, there's an aspect of this. And I wonder, Tiffany, you first on this one, was that a part of it for you as well? And if so, why was that important? If it wasn't, gals, right? So you can answer the question from your authentic, honest place. But I'm assuming that most all of us here had a little inkling place where we're like, all right, I just found my voice, people, right? And so how important was that to you, Tiffany?
Huge, huge. One of the things that I was going to say about how I got to be empowered in my body is boundaries. And boundaries have to be voiced, and you have to know what your boundaries are. And so in my teaching, I talk about, like what the boundaries were that I put myself to make myself feel comfortable and safe in my body, and to be around people that are good and good energy for me. So boundaries is a huge thing that I put in there. And I talk about, the different things that I've had to say to myself, like, hey, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to start doing this and this and this, and sticking with it. That's the part that's hard, is sticking with those boundaries. And that's when that self-abandonment starts to happen, when we don't listen to our boundaries. And the thing is a lot of us don't know what our boundaries are, and that's it's really important to know. And I talk about that in my chapter about how to start figuring out what your boundaries are. and how to implement them and create the life for your own empowerment and safety in your body.
You said a lot of things just now I want to pause on, but I wrote down boundaries have to be voiced, but then backing up to you gotta kind of know what they are. So I just want to encourage listeners, anyone, your mentors and coaches and therapists, if they do that one thing for you, sit and help you understand what your own boundaries are for your life, that will have been worth the bucks, right? And it will be worth just knowing what that is and then voicing them. Tiffany knows, we all know that's easier said than done. That's another place where you might need help. Understanding how to do it in a great, safe, awesome way, but then even getting yourself to be able to do it and practicing. Oh my gosh, these topics, y'all. Anna, how about you on this one? What about that finding your voice thing?
Well, in expressing myself in this chapter, it's nothing I haven't shared before on the entrepreneurial journey and my talk, but in getting it out in the way that I did in conjunction with the takeaway for another woman or another reader, I felt like by putting it in black and white, because I have not put the two together, the story that of where I came to be and how I came to be, in conjunction with what I think is one of the essential components in the recipe to becoming a powerhouse. I felt like I was really giving a tool of empowerment, like a real mentorship, if you will, because I know, Laura, I think we all know, we can't really explain the journey of being an entrepreneur and how lonely it can be and how hard it can be, and being a pioneer. And I use the word pioneer because pioneers are the first ones to create something, to get the masses to be exposed to it, to understand it, and then to pick it up and take on with it. It's usually not within your generation, because just the adaptation of it all. And meanwhile, you're the one who's creating it all along. So you're constantly being tested, and your values, your belief system, your inspiration, what you feel that God has given you as a gift is constantly being tested, because the more you put it out there for the adaptation and the for the uptake, for people to take you up on it and to implement it, it's a test of, am I really here doing what I'm supposed to be doing? So voicing that in this particular chapter, in this particular book, I really feel that if someone is on this similar journey and have the same types of challenges, they're going to eke out a little bit of inspiration from it. And that makes me feel good, because in just speaking about it, it's one thing, but to contribute to this book in this way with my life's journey and experience, I feel that it really contributes to somebody else. So voicing my voice through this chapter, to me, was creating that legacy, that piece of the purpose-driven legacy.
Thanks for talking about the writing piece of it too. I look at this in different ways in terms of finding your voice. You could be a closet journaler, is that a word? And nobody sees it, yet your voice is out of your head. And that's part, I think, of the awareness, right? It's an awareness tool. Then there's like skipping forward to what Anna was just talking about, publishing black and white, right? For the world to read, like there's a whole nother level of warrior that takes, and finding your voice in the journey is just different levels, different stages, and different fears that starts to bring up. But that's why we talk about this as a self-development journey. You grow and expand and evolve into these places, maybe sometimes that you never even thought you would. And I love it. I love this topic so much. Lori, how about you on this? Was finding your voice a part of it for you? And if so, what was important about that on your journey?
Well, for me, doing this chapter, chapter 22, about, ready or not being the message of my story and my life, learning to love who I am and not apologizing for it, which is something that I think a lot of us tend to go through challenges and obstacles, and, embracing it, I think, is the real lesson and the beauty that I learned as I was writing this chapter. I know that for me, I've had so many challenges, from, 9/11, ground zero, to living alone, to surviving cancer, to being discriminated against. And those are a lot of heavy things, but trying to make it lighter by sharing it, and giving permission, for not only myself, but for others to understand that it goes back to being that authentic self, and, understanding that we can make each day a better day through that learning and that experience, and saying, okay, you know what, I learned something today, and, tomorrow is going to be better, because what I learned yesterday is helping me become a better person, and it's a really powerful thing. So that is kind of what I felt as I was experiencing the writing in this chapter, and saying that everybody has that ready or not, kind of head in, am I in, am I out, am I in, am I out, and being uncertain. But whether we're ready or not, we should understand that we got to live our best life. So we've got to move forward.
I love that. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so you all share stories, and some are pretty rough. They're tough. They're tough stories. They're tough moments of your life. Some had other kinds of ways to share the stories. But I guess the main point in this next question I have for all of you is that some days are harder than others when it comes to feeling empowered, right? When you're having a particularly hard day, it may take some ninja moves. It may take an other level of awareness. And we talked in one of the interviews about a foundational idea that I want to open this question up with. And that is that I think all of us would agree that the very first step when you're having a rough day is to not ignore stuff, or otherwise, not pay attention to the feeling that's inside. If it's sadness or anger or any of the feelings that we tend to want to ignore so that we can jump to something better really fast, speaking from a healing background, that is not the way. The fastest way through on a tough day is to actually give yourself permission to feel everything. So having said that, what I would love to know is, when you take the next step on a tough day and you're consciously choosing to shift your energy, what is one way you do that? And Anna, I'm going to start with you. What's one of your favorite ways to shift into a higher vibe?
One of my favorite ways, and I'll always answer you this way, is to go out and be in nature. I mean, fortunately, here, when I'm here in my home in New Jersey, I'm 50 minutes away from the closest beach. Taking the drive down and disengaging from technology, that helps, just the drive. And I know you can relate to that, Laura, with a nice drive in your car, in your hot rod. And being at the beach and having a conversation with God, and just dumping everything into the ocean, letting it take it back out to the sea and far away from me, whatever is on my mind, whatever is bothering me, having a nice big conversation with God, and then also ending it with gratitude. So it's not just a conversation of the dump, it's a conversation of gratitude. Because for me to even be there to have the dump, I have to be grateful for getting there. So that's really how giving myself that space and being out in nature is my method.
Yeah, I love that one. Nature is a big deal, I think, for a lot of people, just the energy of it. Earthing, right? Earthing, getting your toes in the sand, on the dirt, in the grass, all of that. Yes, and anyone wants to drive to the beach, for sure, I will give you a ride. I love to drive. I love it. Okay, Lori, how about you? Give us an idea of, when you're ready and you've chosen to make a shift, what's one of the tools you use to shift and connect?
Well, for me, I appreciate sound so much since it's been a gift to get sound through the technology that I wear. So I definitely turn on 80s music and get me in a good mood. And I do not have a good voice. So I just tend to just embrace that bad voice that I have and just, just spend time with myself, but get in the moment. And I always feel good after I do that. And it's just my gratitude and appreciation for what is around me and taking that all in. I also love being around animals. Animals heal me. I love being around dogs. Just lost my dog recently, so it's been tough, but I definitely love being around other animals, and just their unconditional love is what I surround myself with. So, yeah.
What beautiful ideas. I think all of us are animal lovers, and we feel that vibe from our pets. I lost one too recently, Lori, so I feel you. And the gratitude theme so far, right? It's one of the highest vibe energies. So shifting into what I can be grateful for, you both so far have mentioned that piece. I think it's so important. Tiffany, how about you? What do you want to add? Oh, Anna wants to add something.
I just have to add something. Sorry, Tiffany.
Yeah.
You said 80s music.
I know.
Crank on the way down to the beach, September by Earth, Wind and Fire, #1. And I always say, everyone could sound like Shaka Khan if the music is loud enough.
Yes, to that. Well, I think we just need to combine everything. Let's take a walk through the woods with our AirPods and our 80s music, and we'll bring our dogs with us, and we'll have a good old time being grateful for all of it, right? We can do the combo. I love it. All right, Tiffany, how about you?
I mean, all those are definitely a thing for me too. But one of the things that I do a lot of is a somatic meditation where I do a body scan and I just kind of check in with myself and check into the places that are tense or hurting. And they have a voice. And this is how I learned my boundaries, is listening to my body. And so after I'm done with that somatic breath, just breathing and meditating, I go right to writing. And I talk to those parts of myself, whether it's a hurt shoulder where it has a history of trauma, and talking to it and having self-compassion. So self-compassion is like my ultimate thing where, I'm just letting it be there. I'm listening to it. I'm loving myself from there. And I'm not going to push more, to accomplish more in my day when my body's telling me I'm done. And so having self-compassion in that process of saying, you know what, I'm just going to let myself rest. This is what I need. And I'm not going to guilt myself or shame myself for doing that. So there's a lot of somatic meditation and self-love, and also writing that I do.
All right, we got to throw the journal in the backpack when we go with the dog and the music and the woods. Yeah, all right, that's good. It's so powerful what you're talking about, Tiffany. And for those of you who, aren't used to kind of checking back into your body, I just highly recommend it as a place where all the good healing happens. You have to come back in there. And sometimes you do need a coach or a therapist or a mentor to bring you back in. If we are making it sound easy, I realize it's not. And in some instances, if there's been trauma, any variation of trauma, it's hard to do it on your own, and you will need a guide. And then you can come back in there more often and, listening to that inner wisdom. Yes.
And I do have a somatic coach. So like, even though I'm a psychotherapist, I have my guides. I need the help too. Even though as much education I have, still need that support and just the encouragement from someone else. So I agree with that.
So perfect way to roll into this last question I have for all of you, because it has to do with that circle around you. And to me, that inner circle community, even if it honestly is one other person, or, you know, when I say community, you don't have to think of a huge group of people, although the author community is badass, right? That is in these books and creating resources for all of you listeners. But to me, the inner circle and people I surround myself with has been the difference between success and failure when it comes to feeling and staying empowered. So, Lori, I want to know, tell me about your community, what it has meant to you.
I have always appreciated my community. As I said before, I love people, so I love to be around really good quality people. But I will say, in the last year, after coming out of 2.5 years of being pretty sick and not knowing where my life was going to go, I joined a membership community and here locally, and I will tell you, it's really expanded my creativity, my love of connecting people with other good people, bringing in more people to enjoy that creativity and that good energy. It's really powerful. And when people are not being selfish and really embracing one another, that creates a bigger and better world. And I've actually really seen that through the community that I joined. And I think every day waking up and knowing that the place I'm going to go, it's going to be a good day. Whenever I'm around those people, it's going to be a good day. And that's power. That's living your best life when you are in that environment. And I've learned through surrounding myself in good community, it can only go up.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, yes. With the exclamation point. Somebody in the interview before said, you know, it's not every community, it's the right community, the one where you feel like what Lori is talking about. Yes. Yes. Okay. So Tiffany, in terms of your community, what has that meant to you?
That's changed my life, because I have had such issues with relationships and choosing not the right people in my life. I haven't really had the chance to know how to have a relation, like healthy relationships. And so just in the last few years, I have gathered this amazing, or gone to this amazing spiritual community that I have, that has just opened my world to so many things. But the one thing that really changed my life is just how loved I was as I was. As I was as a person, as broken as I was when I came to that community, and as awkward and like, I don't know about this stuff, like I was loved through that, and that changed me. And so just by being myself and being loved in that capacity, I mean, it has led me to Laura. I mean, that's community has led me to Laura, has led me to all my travels and my shamanistic, like awesome, like experiences. Like this has been life-changing for me. So community is just so important, and it has helped me to learn how to have healthy relationships and how to have healthy boundaries and be able to be my authentic self and be able to speak as I am.
I think really the mark of the best community or person around you is that they completely allow you to be yourself, good, bad, and ugly. All the, right? Just as you are, completely feeling loved just as you are. What you just said is so, so powerful. I know everyone's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get whiplash from nodding my head at all of this. Anna, you're going to close us out today. Tell us about community. I wanted to save you for last because of your powerful community that you've surrounded yourself with. And I think it has aspects of what these ladies are talking about. Tell us what it's meant to you.
Thank you, Laura. And I feel like this was a custom created question just for me. I loved hearing Lori and Tiffany's responses, specifically because the result that they feel once they find the proper, and again, the community that's for you, the proper community, you get to be your unbridled self. You get to be your whole self, no matter what, your messy self, your cleaned up self, your shiny and polished self, and you still feel safe. The word of the day, safe. You feel healed, you feel hopeful, and you feel the expansion and the possibilities for yourself. And I love how Lori said, not only do I like to be incorporated, but I also like to be the connector and be the one that introduces you to somebody else. And that spoke to me, Lori, because that's really what my job here on earth is. When so I have the Wellness Universe, but I'm not the bridge. I'm a plank in the bridge as the connection, because it is seeing this vision and a community of people who are here to help the world be happier, healthier, and healed, because I do believe that leads to global peace. As Laura mentioned in the beginning, that's my mission. But I know it's through people. A lot of people blame people for the problems in the world, but people are also the solution. And I think that we all need to come together and really see the shine in each other and help each other bask in that and hold the mirror up, and also be able to be our authentic selves. Like Laura, you said, like Tiffany, you said, you just show up like you and you're loved. And then from that, magical things can develop. When you are your own self, acting from your heart space and just coming forth with your best ingredients. And as Laura said, there's so much out there. There's so many people, so many communities, so many things out there. Everyone individually brings something to this world. And when you're within your community, you're a part of that rainbow. And when we all come together, we form our own rainbow and within that community. And then it's just a collection of rainbows, and that creates a beautiful world. So for me, community is the ultimate healing highway, so to speak, because we can reach out to different people for different purposes. And we know when you have an expanded community, you can go and talk to someone who's another divorced mom if you're having a problem or a challenge within that area of your life, if you're a divorced mom, or if you're having, a challenge with your boss, you can go and talk to somebody else who's in a similar type of job if you have that expanded of community. It's about being open, being honest, being authentic, and being able to connect with someone who understands you. And if they don't have the similar situation, at least you feel safe enough for them to bear witness, for you just to unload or talk about it, or just be there to listen to you. And also for you to be that for someone else, which I feel also is part of our purpose. Being, in service to someone else in that way. So to me, community, that's really the end all be all. And really what I'm here to do is to create community. And like all you ladies here, you all are part and create. And Laura, you created an amazing community of authors and a humongous network, and people who never even knew that they were authors to be authors. And that's part of being in the community and the micro communities from each book collaboration. So thank you for doing that, Laura. And thank you, ladies, also for being part and or creating your own communities. It's essential. It's where we create safety, security, and healing.
Yes. You said something I want to pause on that's really important. The people in my community have, even just talking about inner circle friends, there are people that have shared moments of my pain, and they're in the community, in my inner circle, because I trust that they can hold a space for me to be myself in a painful moment. But Anna, you reminded me that some of the people that have meant the most to me, communities, groups of people, individuals, have been full on in the celebration of the best me that showed up that day. The wins, the victories, the big celebrations. They did not back off, not a half a smidge from being okay with me as big as I was in that minute. And I think that the more we find people who let us have that room when we expand like that and the light is shining and they don't fall into envy, jealousy, all the crazy other lower vibe things that can go on, but they're right there matching you, like, you go girl, right? Those communities in an ultimate empowerment way, which is what we're talking about today, mean everything. Those people, that way of celebrating, celebratory energy, right? Some of the highest vibe energy. So I love that. I love that you made me think of that. And I think it's like perfect place to pause today. To all of you ladies, thank you so much for what you do in the world. And thanks for being here today to share it with everyone. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You all are amazing. Listeners, I know that you heard something today that gave you the goosebumps. Maybe you're curious. Maybe you're ready to just continue the conversation. Just scroll down to the show notes because all of the authors are hooked up there with their websites and they are up to some awesomeness in the world and very generously there for your next steps, for a question, for continuing the conversation, something that you heard today. So take a little exploration. Go click on the sites, check it out, see how that goes. And of course, you're all invited to our live stream book launch party. That's going to be October 27th. We're going to have all of the Misadventures Guide to Ultimate Empowerment for Women authors there. 10 a.m. Eastern on the Brave Healer Productions Facebook page. I've got you hooked up down below with that too. And if you happen to be listening to this interview after that date, well, hop over to Amazon because that means you can grab your copy of the book and start that empowerment journey today. Lastly today, everybody, I want you to remember your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everybody. Bye, ladies.